Hi, I'm glad you stopped by. We are doing this series of articles by O.R.L. Crozier. This is from The Word to the Little Flock, and this is entitled, as you can see, The Time of Trouble. And this one is fairly short compared to the other two. This is our third installment, and we are going to be interrupting as we go through the reading to point out some items. And this particular video is going to be interesting for you. It is amazing to me the clear understanding that Crozier had of the truth and the correct understanding of the interpretation of the different texts in the Bible. So we're going to go through this, and our first reading is the text here at the top of the page. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, and so forth. We are taught by some that the standing up of Michael, the time of trouble, and the delivering of the saints are in the future, and that all these events are to be accomplished at the second appearing of Christ. Others teach that Michael stood up on the 10th day of the 7th month, 1844, and that since that time we've been passing through the time of trouble such as never was, and that the deliverance of the saints is at the first resurrection. But as I cannot harmonize either of these views with the Bible, I wish to humbly give my brethren and sisters my views of these events. It is clear to me that here are four distinct events, all in the future. First, the standing up of Michael. Second, the time of trouble. Third, the deliverance of the saints. And fourth, the resurrection of the just to everlasting life. That Jesus rose up and shut the door and came to the Ancient of Days to receive his kingdom at the 7th month, 1844, I fully believe. Now, this would be October 22, 1844. And he's got some verses here. I don't generally read the references to the verses unless they need to be read, but we have the next sentence where there's one that needs to be read. But the standing up of Michael, Daniel 12:1, appears to be another event for another purpose. His rising up in 1844 was to shut the door and come to his Father to receive his kingdom and power to reign. But Michael's standing up is to manifest his kingly power, which he already has in the destruction of the wicked and in the deliverance of his people. Michael is to stand up at the time that the last power in chapter 11 comes to his end, and none to help him. Now this would be Daniel chapter 11. Says this power is the last that treads down the true church of God. And as the true church is still trodden down and cast out by all Christendom, it follows that the last oppressive power has not come to his end, and Michael has not stood up. This last power that treads down the saints is brought to view in Revelation 13:11-18. His number is 666. Much of his power, deception, wonders, miracles, and oppression will doubtless be manifested during his last struggle under the 7 last plagues, about the time of his coming to his end. So we have some points here that we need to cover. Crozier is very correct in almost everything he says. And as a review, just to refresh our minds, we want to go through Revelation 13. So here is verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. We know this is the United States of America. You can ask me for more information if you are unclear about this. The speaking like a dragon, which is Satan, is speaking with the voice of tyranny. That this voice began in this country about 1 year ago, few who cherish truth will deny. Now, I don't know what you're listening to, but if you have any doubts about this, all you have to do is look back at the pandemic that is the nonsense that's going around right now, and there's all kinds of information about that on there. We're going to cover some of that as we go forward. Verse 12, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So the first beast before him is none other than the papacy. It is a fact of history that the papacy murdered millions while they were in power, just short of 1,335 years. Verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now we know the death decree will be made law after the plagues start. You can see page 101 of the 1858 Great Controversy. Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. The enforcement of Sunday as a synchronized day of rest is yet to happen, but they are working on it. The correct view of these texts God gave us through Ellen in 1849. And just for your information, this manuscript was never released until 2015. But God has made it available for us to just what we need to get through. Behold ye, pleading that blood. And after that work is finished, he will hold out no longer, girds his sword upon his thigh, and rides forth for the deliverance of the captive, the destroying angels. Then there will be no buying or selling. He will spread a table in the wilderness, faithful, just, and true. This particular vision does not read very well. And that is because somebody else wrote down what Ellen was saying while she was in vision. host in performing most of the miracles that Moses performed by the power of God. That this was just before the deliverance of Israel from Egyptian bondage, and may we not expect to see as great a manifestation of the power of the devil just before the glorious deliverance of the saints. I thought this was very interesting because I had not really placed it at that point, but this is going to be very interesting to see how this develops, because we do not know for a fact what exactly. There's a lot of details here that we don't know. Then it says, if Michael stood up in 1844, what power came to his end and none to help him at that time? The answer, none. So that's proof that Michael did not stand up, Daniel 12:1, at that time in 1844. He did stand up and go into the Most Holy at that time. Continuing, the trouble that is to come at the time that Michael stands up is not the trial or trouble of the saints, but it is a trouble of the nations of the earth caused by 7 last plagues. So actually there are two sides of this trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, because while the plagues are doing the work of destroying the wicked are trying to destroy the saints through a death decree. Shortly after this decree, the saints experienced the time of Jacob's trouble. Continuing with Crozier, so when Jesus has finished his work of atonement in the Holy of Holies, he will lay off his priestly attire and put on his most kingly robes and crown to ride forth and manifest his kingly power in ruling the nations and dashing them in pieces. We believe that our great high priest is attired as the Jewish high priest was. See Leviticus 16. But when Michael stands up to reign, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, he has on many crowns in one crown. The deliverance of the living saints is before the first resurrection, for it is spoken of as a separate event. If the deliverance of the living saints is not until the first resurrection, why is the resurrection spoken of as a separate event after the deliverance? It seems clear that the deliverance is at the voice of God, and that information is very true. Then, from that time till Christ appears, the saints will have power over the nations who remain of the former plagues. And that is when we are told, I think it's in the 58 Great Controversy. I forgot to get the reference in here, but this is true because some are going to charge the saints even after they have been delivered by the voice of the Father, but we are told that the saints raised the hand in the name of God, and those people fell helpless at their feet. So there are many details about the time of the end that God has not revealed. Praise his holy name. Probably if we knew, we might faint for fear. We serve a living, merciful God. He has told us that angels will be guarding us in the time of the wicked trying to kill us. But it will not be, for we will be delivered by the voice of the Father from heaven. We are soon going home. God bless your study.